Hey guys, Pete here. I'm getting ready to put out some videos related to Bran's role in the end of the series, so today I wanted to talk about the Three-Eyed Raven. This will contain spoilers if you aren't caught up to the end of Season 6 in the show, and will reveal a lot from the books. So if you are reading them or planning to read them and don't want this character spoiled, this is your warning. Also, I have a book giveaway going on, so make sure you watch to the end to find out more about that. In the show Game of Thrones, Bran sets out with Mira and Jojen Reed to find a three-eyed raven that has been visiting him in his dream. In the books, it is called the Three-Eyed Crow, and I guess the show just wanted to be certain that since the Night's Watch are called crows, that there wouldn't be a mix-up. More or less, whether you think of it as a three-eyed raven or a three-eyed crow, the character plays the same part. The big difference in the show is that the three-eyed raven mentions being in the tree for 1,000 years. My guess is that they did this to simplify the character since he could serve his purpose without the backstory, but in the books we know who he actually is. We also know a lot about his history, which may help understand where the story is going. So fundamentally, the character serves the same purpose, but the person isn't necessarily the same. With that said, I think it is both interesting and important to look at what we know about the three-eyed crow. We find out in the 5th book, A Dance with Dragons, that the three-eyed crow is a Targaryen bastard named Brynden Rivers. So first I'm going to go over what we know about his history and how he ended up in the cave, and then we'll get into his relationship with Bran. Brynden Rivers is an albino with milk-white skin, long white hair, and red eyes. He has a red birthmark on the right side of his face that stretches from his cheek down to his throat. This is where his nickname Bloodraven comes from, since the birthmark is said to look like a raven drawn in blood. Brynden was an expert bowman. He lost one of his eyes during the first Blackfire Rebellion and rarely wore a patch to cover it up. He chose to display his scar an empty socket to the world. He had long white hair to his shoulders that he sort of brushed forward to cover up his missing eye. He was born in King's Landing as a bastard son of King Aegon IV Targaryen. Aegon was fond of keeping mistresses, and Brynden's mother, Lady Melissa Blackwood, was his 6th. He has 2 sisters, Maya and Gwyneth Rivers, and even though the king eventually moved on to his 7th mistress, Brynden was able to keep close relations at court because of his mother's popularity. A strong warrior, Brynden carried the Valyrian steel blade Dark Sister, but preferred to use his weirwood longbow and was an expert archer. Brynden served on the small council of his half-brother Daeron II Targaryen. During the first Blackfire Rebellion, Brynden remained loyal to King Daeron and commanded a group of longbowmen called the Raven's Teeth. At the Battle of Redgrass Field, he lost an eye fighting his half-brother Bittersteel. The Raven's Teeth ultimately gained the Weeping Ridge and rained down arrows onto Daemon Blackfire from 300 yards away, killing Daemon and his twin sons. For this act, people would name Brynden a kinslayer. After the war, he advocated a hard line against the rebels, winning out over Prince Baelar's call for leniency. Rivers became Hand of the King, serving throughout the reign of his nephew, King Aerys I Targaryen. This isn't the Mad King Aerys, he was Aerys II. It was a tough time for the crown as the Great Spring Sickness killed tens of thousands and was followed by a drought that lasted like over a year. With so much going wrong, the small folks started to blame Bloodraven since they considered him a kinslayer, and they weren't big fans of his interest in sorcery. Bloodraven played important roles in the 2nd and 3rd Blackfire Rebellions, but his involvement in the Great Council of 233 is what sealed his fate. Brynden continued as hand for Aerys' successor, his brother Maekar I, in 221. After Maekar's death in 223, Brynden, as Hand of the King, called a Great Council on King's Landing to discuss the disputed matter of succession. Aenys Blackfire wanted to peacefully participate in the Great Council, and Bloodraven offered him safe conduct to King's Landing from Tyroch. Once Aenys arrived in the capital, however, he was arrested by the Goldcloaks and then beheaded in the Red Keep. The Great Council chose Maekar's son to succeed as King Aegon V Targaryen, whose first act was to arrest Bloodraven for the murder of Aenys. It is suggested by Maester Aemon that Brynden was imprisoned in the Red Keep's dungeon. Brynden argued that he had sacrificed his honor for the good of the realm, but Aegon refused to set Brynden free. He did offer the option of taking the black instead of death, which Brynden happily accepted. When Maester Aemon sailed for the Wall in 233, he was escorted by King Aegon V's friend, Sir Duncan the Tall of the Kingsguard, and accompanied by an honor guard of recruits for the Night's Watch. Watch. These were 200 men and prisoners, among them Brynden Rivers and archers from his Raven's Teeth. Brynden rose to the position of Lord Commander of the Night's Watch in 239. However, he disappeared while ranging beyond the wall in 252. This is all that we know about Bloodraven from his life before the cave. Keep in mind that events in the show and the Song of Ice and Fire books take place starting in 298, which is about 46 years after he disappeared from his ranging beyond the wall. From there, no one knows what happened to him until Bran arrives at the cave. Bran's story is influenced by the Three-Eyed Raven early on though, and if you subscribe to the theory about the direwolves, it's possible that Brynden was pulling strings right from the very start. When Bran is in his coma after being pushed from the tower, a crow appears in his dreams to tell Bran it can teach him to fly. It has 3 eyes and guides him out of his coma. In another dream, the three-eyed crow goes with Bran when he speaks to Ned in the crypts of Winterfell. This was actually before Ned was dead as well, like before his beheading. Later, Bran meets Jojen and Mira Reed at Winterfell after having a dream of a weirwood with deep red eyes, a twisted wooden mouth, and a 3-eyed raven in its branches. Jojen tells Bran that he dreamed of a winged wolf bound in chains and that he saw a 3-eyed raven chipping away at those chains. Jojen also reveals that the crow has been visiting him in dreams since he was a kid, and it can be found like north beyond the wall. They decide to travel north to find the bird and eventually find the location in a cave in the haunted forest. Of course, it's not an actual bird, but a man who we can figure out is Brynden Rivers, or Lord Bloodraven if you prefer. At this point, he is basically part of the tree's root system, but his birthmark and the fact that he only has one red eye, it makes him pretty easy to identify. Weirwood roots surround the man and grow through his body, including his leg and his empty eye socket. His voice is slow and dry, as if he had forgotten how to speak. Bran is disappointed that the crow cannot heal his crippled legs, but Brynden promises he will teach Bran how to fly instead. Brynden teaches Bran about green seeing and skin changing. He later decides it is time for Bran to take the next step and has Leaf give Bran a bowl of weirwood paste, which is made from the seeds of weirwood, to eat in order to awaken his green seer gifts. There is a theory about it being Jojen in the bowl, but I'm just gonna skip over that idea. When Bran sees his father Eddard through Winterfell's heart tree, Brynden tells Bran that he is haunted by his own ghosts. He talks of a brother that he loved, a brother that he hated, and a woman that he desired, but he tells Bran from his experience that he knows you can't change the past. That's where it's at in the books, and obviously the show went a little past this point. In Game of Thrones, we saw the end of the Three-Eyed Raven when the White Walkers entered the cave, and we have heard Bran say that now he is the Three-Eyed Raven. What that means exactly isn't clear. It means that we can expect to learn more about events through the Weirwood trees, but what else did the Three-Eyed Raven actually do? Well, we know he guided Bran and Jojen through dreams to make this difficult journey north of the wall. There are also plenty of other possible examples where he might have intervened in events by skin changing into ravens and other animals. It's also possible that he might have had a hand in Aegon the Unlikely's rise to the throne despite being a fourth-born son, which would be kind of ironic since Aegon had Bloodraven arrested in his first act as the king. Will Bran be able to start doing these types of things? Will he be able to enter people's thoughts with dreams? Will he be able to push people in different directions? Or is his main purpose in the show now to reveal Jon's parentage? It's really hard to say, but I kind of doubt that the only thing Bran is going to do with this newfound power is travel to Winterfell and then just chill. I plan on making more videos based on Bran's dreams and how what we know from those might tell us of what his role in season 7 and 8 will be. So let me know what you guys think, and let me know what other videos about Bran or Bloodraven you want to see. Bloodraven is one of my favorite characters from the book, so it's exciting to think about what Bran might be able to do. I'm not even going to get into the whole weirwood net idea or how the children are involved in this particular video, but I will just mention that one thing I would love to see is Bran getting a look at the Isle of Faces. Let me know what you're hoping Bran will show us and how you think we might see him use his powers. Please give the video a like if you thought it was interesting, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for a chance to win in the giveaway. When I reach 18,000 subscribers, I'm giving away a copy of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So subscribe now and leave a comment for your chance to win. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.